Huskies win their first game against the St. Cloud Rocks this season by a score of 8-7. We'll now go down to the field. Brendan Reilly interviewing the hero of the day and Brian Brecker.
Thanks, guys. Being joined down on the field by Brian Brecker, one of the heroes of today's 8-7 victory for the Huskies. Brian, you had a big part in this ball game today. You were able to come through in that fourth inning with the bases clearing double. What were you looking for at the play in the at-bat?
I was just trying to get a ball to drive, be aggressive in the count. I think there was only one out at that time, so I was just trying to get the runners in and get something going. So I'm glad I found a hole and I was able to get them all in. So the job.
Did the job indeed, and then later on in the game in that eighth inning, it was another one. He ripped another double. It looked like Otto Kemp just didn't have a read on it from the get-go, but that got down. You guys were able to get two runners in scoring position, and then Michael Brooks was able to come through with the sac fly. But you had such a great day at the plate. You talked about your approach, but now going forward with you now playing catcher the past 3 games, does it feel like you're finally starting to really find your form here this late in the season?
I hope so. I've definitely had my ups and downs this season, so some rough patches, but trying to stay true to my approach and figure some things out, and hopefully I can stay hot the remainder of the season.
Now your starter today, Will McIntyre, his final game most likely here with the Huskies. He went out and battled 113 pitches, went 6 2/3. This whole season he's been the ace of this rotation. Just how important was he to this team all year long?
I mean, we were 0-7 against them, and he got us a win. So, I mean, he pitched his butt off today, and heck of a competitor, so proud of him.
Now, over these past 4 games, the first game against La Crosse and the first day yesterday, lopsided games, but you guys are able to bounce back. You win 2 very close games. With how things are tight going down the stretch, just how important is it that you guys show off this resiliency, being able to battle back after losing pretty lopsided in game 1?
Yeah, I mean, we just got to flush those games. Don't even think about them. Look at what's in front of us. I mean, we have a chance to make the playoffs, so as long as we take care of business on the field, what's in front of us will be good.
Well, Brian, thank you very much for your time. Congratulations on today. We'll send it back up to Matt and Adam up in the crow's nest. Guys.
Thank you, Brennan. That was a terrific interview with Brian Brecker, and one of the highlights of that is that he's had to catch 3 straight games in a row, something we haven't seen really from the Huskies this season.
No, and he has to do it because Kaysen Todd is injured, and this late in the season, you don't have much depth. And Ryan McDonald, the other catcher, he's been having to play, and Peyton Powell, Marcus Porter, the head coach, giving him, the Texas Longhorn, a lot of rest. But Brian Brecker, he was the star of the show today on the offensive side.
He went 2 for 4 with 2 doubles and 4 RBIs. Also called a tremendous game with Will McIntyre, who was phenomenal today. He was really dealing out there in his final start of the regular season, and we'll have actually a game recap to watch his performance too. Starting off in a couple of strikeouts from a couple of good curveballs, but Bryce Matthews did have his number today. Tied up the game at 4 with that 2-run double.
Another multi-hit day for Bryce Matthews. Will McIntyre, I said it, the numbers are not going to show it. This obviously wasn't his best outing, but this was probably his most fun outing to watch, going up against, in my opinion, the toughest lineup in the Northwoods League, and just seeing him grind in that 7th inning and giving the Huskies a chance, keeping them in the ball game. The Huskies, they got up 7-4. There's that huge strikeout on Otto Kemp. And then Ethan Hamburg comes in. He gives up a couple of runs. He eventually gives up the tying run to make it all tied up at 7. Here it is in the 8th inning. But Jake Brill, not a great angle at getting to that baseball. Kirby's able to score, but the Huskies answering in the bottom of the 8th. From Cowan Halverson, Jake Brill making up 4. There's the nice hit from Brian Brecker. And not Cowan Halverson, I meant to say Brian Brecker. But another really good comeback for the Duluth Huskies, and they need that must-win territory for them.
Michael Brooks was able to drive in the go-ahead run, too, before finally Michael Sarhat, who was able to pick up the save in his first performance this season. First save of the season for him, not your typical closer. We originally thought that the Huskies were going to go with Jared Southern, but Sarhat filled in nicely, worked around that 2-out triple.
We thought that Jared Southern was going to come in because when he came to Wade Stadium a couple of nights ago back from the Cape Cod League, he came in, he said he was ready to go. So we thought that in a must-win game in facing a team that you haven't beat this year, we thought that Marcus Pointer was going to go with his aces and Will McIntyre, Ethan Hamburg, and eventually Jared Southern. But Michael Sarhat has really become one of the aces for this team recently in his last 7 outings. We said it prior to him coming in for his save opportunity that in his last 7 outings he has only given up 1 run, and that curveball fastball combination is a beautiful thing right now for Michael Sarhat. And he's not your typical closer, so we were kind of questioning the decision. Your closer coming in usually the high fastball like we've seen from Ethan Hammerberg, but Michael Sarhat able to keep the Rocks hitters that he faced in the 9th inning off balance. Thought that 3-2 pitch, I thought a curveball was coming, ended up going with the fastball to get the second out of the inning, and then after the Jordan Barr triple, just able to compose himself and eventually get the Huskies the win.
And additionally, the Huskies were able to work around that 2-out triple that we talked about. He added in a quick pitch today, something we haven't seen from him all season long. That's how Jordan Barf was just able to flip the bat over into right field. And you look at that hard hit ball he gave up to the falling hitter, but the Huskies used the shift to their advantage. They've been shifting more as the season has progressed, and Brett Paulson was at the right spot at the right time.
He was. It was a hard shot and just went right to him. And the shift, Brett Paulson, talking about that shift that Brett Paulson has been using. In the beginning of the season, it wasn't a successful shift. The Brett Paulson shift, he was kind of fading towards the third base side as he was the shortstop, and there was a lot of balls being hit up the middle. But we've seen this small ball kind of play in the second half of the Duluth Huskies, and when you take a look at the record, when you compare the second half to the first half, it's really panned out for them. And going back to Michael Sarhat and just this team, another really good comeback, another 8th inning comeback. The 8th inning has been a pretty good inning for the Duluth Huskies this season. The comeback kids, no joke. I know they're a pretty good amount of games under 500 this season, but what we know about the Duluth Huskies this year is they never quit, and once again, they showed it today against the best team in the Northwoods League.
Well, there's a reason why we have colloquially called them the second half skis, because in the first half, they went 12-22. Now they're 14-14, vying for a playoff run. And the Eau Claire Express lost Game 1 to the Waterloo Butts this morning. And now, last time we checked, they're losing 10-3. Unlikely they were going to get back, and the Huskies able to gain even more ground in the standings.
The Eau Claire Express, they have really fallen off in the past week. They were on that 4-game losing streak, but the Duluth Huskies, during that 4-game losing streak of the Express, they weren't able to win a lot of games as well, and that's why it's been kind of frustrating as a Duluth Husky fan. If you're watching as a Duluth Husky fan, just seeing the team right now not taking advantage of their opportunities, and now the La Crosse Loggers with a split against the Duluth Huskies, and they have 4 more games against the Minnesota Mud Puppies. Talking about La Crosse, and La Crosse is playing some of their best baseball, the baseball that we saw them playing to begin the first half, because what we thought was going to happen in the Great Plains, at least in the beginning, is it was going to be a battle between the Waterloo Bucks and the La Crosse Loggers, and then La Crosse went through a really bad middle of the season slump, but now they're starting to find their form again. The offense is heating up, and a win like today against the Rocks can maybe get your momentum going with the La Crosse Loggers playing exceptional baseball. But again, the Huskies, Adam, time and time again have shown us this season, and this week has been the 2021 Duluth Huskies wrapped up, essentially. You get the 18-6 loss against the Loggers. They bounce back the next day with a really good 4-3 victory, and then yesterday they get beat down by the St. Cloud Rocks, and then they look like a playoff team today. So it's just finding consistency, and they have a week to do so.
This has been a team of opportunity, team that has really had their backs against the wall. This team is 6-5 now in the second half in games where they have not scored first, which is a testament to their grit and determination. And even when McIntyre allowed those 3 runs to score, the game was tied up. They responded in the bottom of the 4th with that 3-run double from Brian Brecker. He's someone who has had some ups and downs this season, batted just a little bit over 200, but he is really good with runners in scoring position. That's where he shined best.
He's been phenomenal, and I said it after he got that hit. Brian Brecker is a clutch performer. He sometimes, if he's not getting the big hit, then he's getting a big sacrifice fly out that will score a run or maybe move a runner over. Brian Brecker's been able to do his job this season. The average is not going to say so, but if you've been really following this team, you would be very impressed with the Michigan State catcher. Will McIntyre, you know that had to add a little bit of extra momentum momentum with Will McIntyre, the team, in his last outing, maybe last outing of the season, really wanting to get the win for Will McIntyre.
Will McIntyre really stepped up today. If you look at his stat line, 6 2/3, 6 runs allowed on 113 pitches. I don't care about the runs, to be honest.
No.
I know that is important, of course, but the way that he was able to stay, and I think what gets lost in all of this, was that he told Pointer to essentially to back off, and he came back and was able to retire the next 2 hitters to stay in the game.
Yeah, he did, and we have seen that fieriness from Will McIntyre the entire year, and that's one of the reasons why I love watching him every 5 days or so for the Duluth Huskies. And the strikeouts was another really impressive feat for him today. We said in the pregame show that Will McIntyre for most of the season has been around 4 to 5 strikeouts, but his 2 starts prior to this afternoon, he racked up 17 and 14 innings, and then getting 7 against this very talented St. Cloud Rocks team, 1 through 9 is all no easy outs for the St. Cloud Rocks. But Will McIntyre, he was the best pitcher this season for the Duluth Huskies, and for him to go out winning today, and the last pitch that he's thrown is a strikeout, just kind of a storybook inning for the very talented righty, and he has a bright future ahead of him with the Razorbacks.
He really does have to imagine he'll get plenty more starts after his performance in the Northwoods League this season. That just about does it from up here. Once again, the Huskies are able to take this one by a score of 8-7 and their most crucial, pivotal win of the season. Signing off for the final time on the TV broadcast, I'm Adam Cohen. Joined alongside is Matthew Hargrove. We hope you enjoy the rest of your Sunday.